At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the president of School of Visual Arts, David Rhodes.
Thank you. Members of the board, honored guests, faculty, administration, parents, families, and most of all, soon-to-be graduates, I'd like to welcome you to SVA's 39th formal commencement exercises held in honor of the class of 2014. I think it would be best to begin by thanking a few of the people who have made today's events possible. First, I'd like to thank the Commencement Committee, Milton Glazer, Kevin O'Callahan, and Anthony Rhodes, who are chiefly responsible for the design of today's ceremony. I'd also like to thank Lucky Checkley, Coordinator of Academic Advisement, and the academic advisors who have helped guide you here. Finally, echoing the words of the two previous speakers, I think we should all thank those parents, grandparents, friends, significant others, and in some cases children, whose emotional and financial support have enabled you all to reach this point. Thank you all. A little over a week ago, on May 7, the New York Times began an article with the headline, "Mediocre Night at Sotheby's, as 1/3 of art does not sell." Within the article, we were told, the mediocre results followed on an unexciting night at Christie's on Tuesday. According to the Times, mediocrity at Sotheby's meant that only $219 million worth of art was sold, while unexciting at Christie's meant that $285.9 million worth of art was sold. More than $500 million in sales in 2 evenings, and the results are dissatisfying. I'm sure we would all be ecstatic to be so dissatisfied. What is unfortunate is that none of the proceeds of the reported sales went to the artists who made the work. The rewards accrued to first or second or third generation collectors and investors, which for most people, but not for you, I expect, would be a disincentive to continual artistic efforts. Perhaps the most interesting story was of a Picasso owned by a family of a collector, originally offered for sale at Christie's in November of 2013 for between $8 and $12 million. It finally sold at Sotheby's on May 7th after it was discounted to merely $3 million. The example demonstrates that both expectations and realities are askew. Or as one unsuccessful bidder at a subsequent auction is reported to have said, "Money doesn't have any value when it comes to art. My diamonds, now they have value." We see a similar attitude toward value in a recent article in Vox by Michael Iglesias. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are approximately 157,800 kindergarten teachers in the United States who earn an average of $52,840 per annum, or $8.34 billion for a year. Apparently, the top 4 hedge fund managers earned more this past year than all 157,800 kindergarten teachers. Similarly, in 2012, according to Forbes, the top 40 hedge fund managers and traders were paid as much as 300,000 teachers, or roughly 1/3 of all high school teachers in the United States. I am sure that there are some economists who can justify such inequalities. But in what seems to me a fundamental precondition for an ethical society, there ought to be some not entirely tenuous relation between the good that one does and one's compensation. Teachers, unfortunately, were always underpaid, as they continue to be to this day. But they have other rewards. I would urge you to think back to those teachers who helped you get to this day. And if your experience is like mine, a little note to that small number whose names you remember with a sense of indebtedness would be in order. It is never too late to thank them. It appears that Adam Smith's invisible hand, which pitted self-interest against self-interest to hold the cumulative and acquisitive behavior in check and ensure that everyone receives his or her due, has been anesthetized. The relationship between productivity and wages that had been so tightly aligned since World War II that it was thought to be an empirical economic law has begun to diverge, and the gap has been widening ever since 1980. Median wages and salaries have stagnated while productivity has increased. The current conditions are neither natural nor necessary. They are rather a human construction that we have made over decades. Because they are a human construction and not dictated by the laws of physics, they are subject to change. But change requires the application of coordinated effort to intractable problems over sustained periods of time. It does not happen easily, for power does not concede privilege without being forced to do so. As Dr. King more eloquently put it, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. But because it is the moral universe, the arc requires moral agents. It does not bend by itself. So, after you have made the great work we expect of you, please remember to bend the arc. Although you may be artists first, you are also citizens. On behalf of the faculty, administration, and the board, please accept our congratulations again, and don't forget to vote.
Thank you, David. Thank you. Bend that arc.